Hello, hello. And today it'll kind of be like a one out of maybe four-part little series about scarcity as it relates to the material world and abundance as it relates to the infinite world. And so I wanted to make this in really simple, maybe even like a six-part series. Fuck, I don't even know. But the first part, we'll talk about a book I think is really, really good called Abundance. The Future is Better Than You Think by Peter Diamandis. And I wanted to talk about this because I had a conversation with a friend of mine about finite and infinite, and about how we live in a world of scarcity. So it's like you don't want to buy a home because you want like an infinite, like a crazy monster home, or you want to live in a million homes. You get a fucking home because you don't want to be fucking homeless. And you get a job not because you want to make infinite amount of money, but because you want to avoid having zero money. And in that thought process of the finite and resources and having, not that many of them, maybe, scarcity plays a massive role in the material world that we live in, which is essentially a resource-driven world. And so I wanted to make a little series about the finite and infinite abundance and all that shit in between. So let's kind of go into it and check it out. So in this book, it's really optimistic futurism, which discusses tech as it dissolves scarcity. Because as we get better technology, we're able to make things that were scarce into things that are common for everybody, and we kind of just move that water line a little bit up, and that rising tide raises all ships. And so scarcity is a mindset, which you've heard a million fucking times. But throughout history, what we thought was precious became cheap once tech unlocked abundance, right? So salt used to be currency until refrigeration came along and destroyed all scarcity around salt. The same applies today with maybe bandwidth of information as like the internet connection and shit, or even technology, clean water and energy. So where things are initially scarce, you look at them, and over time, through technology, through human advancement, through evolution, tech allows that to be accessible to everybody. And so that scarcity shit is just fucking some nonsense put in place by, I don't know who, but some motherfuckers is what I would call them. So next one is energy abundance via solar, this was a fact I was like, holy fuck, this is weird. The sun blasts the earth with more energy in 1 hour than all humanity uses in a year. That's fucking crazy to even think about the amount of energy emitted from the sun and how little we use of it in a year. So there's that much energy available to us that we, even in a fucking year, all humanity is not even touching an hour of the sun's energy. So the finite fuel mindset is an illusion. We're surrounded by abundance, just lacking the tools to harness it, which I think goes back to Yuval Harari in Sapiens, which if you haven't read, it's a really cool book. And it's essentially this is a section of it where it talks about how we are only as intelligent or as aware as the tools that we have. We're only going to be able to understand, based on the tools that we're using, based on maybe even our interpretation of the universe, right? Like once we got better telescopes, we're able to observe farther things, or even better microscopes to observe even smaller things that relate to like quantum physics, or even just looking under a fucking microscope and understanding what the fuck a cell was, like it is really just based on our technology and our ability or inability to harness it for our own good. And so information is infinite. Once you digitize something, it can be copied forever at virtually zero cost. That's why digital music, AI outputs, software don't play by scarcity rules. So majority of the material world is in a scarcity using scarcity rule sets, right? So if you have a whole bunch of fucking milk at the store and everybody buys out of fucking milk, then they're like, fuck, we can charge more for this shit because there's less of it. Same with gold. Motherfuckers were using rocks or shells or whatever to account for different things, because that's what money is. It's an accounting system. And so motherfuckers came along and they're like, fuck, we're going to use this gold now because there's less gold. It's more scarce. So it's more valuable. So we can use it more. It's like a, distilled, dumbed down version of that. But that's essentially it. You're really just playing around with what's the most scarce. And that in your mind makes you want to gravitate toward it. But information fucks that up. And it's like, well, no, like it's the opposite. It is in an infinite space, because it's just fucking zeros and ones. As long as we have the internet, I guess. Exponential tech is compounding. So AI, robotics, biotech, nanotech grow on exponential curves, meaning yesterday's impossibility is today's commodity. So scarcity dissolves with scale. Exponential curves happen a lot, I would imagine, in natural life, not as much as in the digital world, where something can 10x, 100x in, half the amount of time over time. So exponential curves, I feel like, do happen a lot more in the digital space, and that's why we're not used to exponential growth all the time. We're not used to, you plant one seed, the farmer goes out the next day and he has a fucking million fucking plants. No, like most of our life, and as we lived it up until this point, was very linear. Like things grew one thing at a time. I have one plant, that one plant turns to two plants, 2 to 4. It takes a little bit of time, but it takes a little bit longer. So that's actually a cool thing to think about, is the exponential tech growth and how scarcity dissolves with scale. We're about halfway through. The power of the crowd. So open source communities, citizen science, makers, ordinary people now have access to tools to solve scarcity problems governments once monopolized. So once, in a time before, in a galaxy far, far away, a lot of the problems that we have today, we're not even able to think about solving them. I could, as simple as it gets, there's no good coffee shops around me. I could start a fucking coffee shop, cart or whatever, or food truck thing with a couple $1,000s. Like that, back then it was so hard to create a business, to even interact with what laws were happening in whatever location that I was, whatever region that I was. We have so much more access to power, access to ability now, that I do feel like sometimes that scarcity creeps in, so we don't do it because of all the systems in place, because like I don't know how, I can't start a business because I didn't go to fucking business school. Who gives a fuck what happens in business school? Like, you have some of the greatest human minds that didn't play by those structured governmental or educational or academic systems, were able to accomplish so much more just based on going for it and not following those rules that a large organization from the past said. It's just programming. Like, once you're able to escape the programming from the past, you're able to create shit in the future that fucking wasn't even thought of before. So it just shows you the power of people and individuals that don't need those rule systems. And so, another one, next one. We underestimate the future. People panic about resource collapse in the short term, but consistently underestimate how quickly tech transforms scarcity into abundance. It's fucking for sure, man. While everybody spazzes out in the short term when they can't get water from the store, or they this and that, or they constantly thinking things are under so much stress and the whole system can't handle it. But then you have to think about the back half, which is technology, whether it's like ones and zeros technology, or technology that is when humans meet together and create something out of thin air. That for me is technology, not just a fucking laptop. You know what I mean? Technology is just when things come together to create something more than themselves. So yeah, we have the ability, tech has the ability to transform scarcity into abundance. The rising billion, which is a cool concept, fun thing I'm not the most familiar with, but as billions people come online, their participation creates new wealth, new markets, and new innovations that expand everything, and so you have to think about, we got here from a small group of people being able to harness the power of technology or groups or laws or whatever, the money or power. And now that because those walls are kind of dissolving and getting broken down, we have literally almost, hopefully one day, everybody access to that same amount of power, which will then create so much more in such a faster sense, because individuals are far more agile than old structured models. Next one, abundance does not equal utopia. Maybe. Let me see what my notes say. It doesn't mean perfection. So abundance doesn't mean perfection. It means moving the baseline up so that what was once a luxury becomes normal. Fucking, you think of cars, you think of homes, you think of fucking smartphones, you think of anything. Like everything that was so, wow, I'm never going to make $1 million. There's so many fucking millionaires now. Like everything that once was scarce, that water line moves up. All the ships start to rise. And that just shows you how powerful that abundance thought process, or the use of technology, or where our human evolution is going. What was once scarce will not be in the future. And so last two, fear narratives distort reality. News cycles highlight scarcity, wars, and famines, but statistically, the world's healthier, wealthier, and more literate than ever. I mean, I had a friend tell me it's all about net positives. You can dial it in and zoom in on the worst shit all the time, and trust me, there's some absolute horrendous shit popping off almost every fucking day. And well, yes, 100% every fucking day, but. In a net positive, in a net world, as you see everything in totality, the world is healthier, wealthier, and more literate than ever. We have more access to more information. We have more resources. We're able to do more. And in that thought of abundance and that thought in hope, in faith that, we have more, we're gonna be able to get more. It's only the opposite of that fear mongering, those fear narratives that move you down, right? What do you think when you get scared? What does your body do? It looks down. You shrivel up. Your shoulders. You get smaller. It's not about getting scared of something or using fear. It's about overcoming all that and noticing where my body goes. It looks up. It looks out. I start to expand. That's where the human race. That's where humankind needs to go, into a space of expansion through abundance and faith and all that fun stuff, not fear. Fear doesn't do shit for anybody. Not anymore. We're done getting chased by lions and shit all the time. We don't live in that world anymore, but unfortunately the technology that we have, our bodies, still operate on that system most of the time. And so the future economy equals creativity plus networks. As simple as it said there, as scarcity dissolves in one domain, value shifts to human imagination, connection, and design. It's evolution. It's science. It's how we got here. It's how we got a fucking iPhone. It's how you're listening to me right now. Like, everything comes from creativity and then the networks that bolster them up. And the networks, I would imagine you think of them as the foundation of everything. It's the, if the seed is the creativity, the water is the networks, the individuals that we know, the people that we interact with, the need for it, all of that. So those two things, if you can get anything out of this one little 12, 13-minute chat I had with you, is that scarcity dissolves always and forever. Values are now, we're shifting to human imagination, connection, and design. And putting effort into those things, I think, will be irreplaceable, even more so in the future. Being able to think outside the box is literally why we're fucking here today. So use that. It's not just for the select few that can be imaginative and creative and have designs. Everybody can do anything that's already been done on Earth and so much more. So don't look in the rearview mirror to guide you forward. Look ahead, think what you want to do, expand your mind, expand your fucking conscious, your friends, your network, your technology, everything. Improve everything, because nothing is stopping you other than you. So hopefully that helped. That'll be part 1 of part 6 of the abundance, scarcity, finite, infinite fucking conversations that we get out of this. So goodbye.